are unhappy.
You feel like a hater. I don't like her tone. I wish you would tell Margaret to shut the up.
That's not a nice person.
There's no door, asshole.
You're gonna respect me more than that.
Everyone's got skeletons.
Don't even go there. We're gonna go get there.
Are unhappy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a little bit of R&R here on the Real Housewives of New Jersey recap season 13. We are on episode 14 with myself, Russell Ray. Hey, that's me.
The close-up, okay.
And my host with the most, Mr. Randomly Ronnie Jr. You can find him at randomlyronniejr.com. You can also find him on 94.7 The Block with Jonesy in the Morning, #1 for throwbacks. And you can listen to Jonesy's new single that she has,
yes,
Calling All the Girls.
It's Calling All
And-
the Ladies, Miss Jones. She is
Oh,
such
Calling All the Ladies.
a thrill. Yeah, I always say I'm like a friend of a friend of a friend if this was Housewives. So you'll see me every once in a while with Jonesy. But Miss Jones was the queen of queens, queen of New York City radio. So it's fun to do that. And I've been having a lot of excitement and also doing other things too. So I'm a busy guy. I hope I don't look tired. I'm excited to give you something I want to say about Melissa. That's coming up. And Russell, I also wanted to tell you I am very happy with what we saw with Dolores, Frank, and this modern family. I am totally on board. I don't care if anybody says it was boring. To me, this was good. I'm ready for the spinoff. I am.
Oh, look. I am absolutely 100. Why am I like so peaking today? Hold on. I'm absolutely 100% on board with this spinoff. But in reality housewife news, Joe Gorga and Frank Catania are actually pitching their own show to Bravo that we could potentially see as soon as spring of 2024. That is from an inside source. Can't say who, but things are kind of looking up for Joe and Frank. What do you think about that?
Well, listen, I think, sorry, I'm sending a text message to, I don't know, Andy Cohen. No, I don't know. I think that it is a good idea to pitch as many shows as possible because like they're trying to find where everything lands. Bravo is where the big shows would go. And then Peacock was where Peacock streaming is where Miami went, but now there's a flip. Miami's now going to come back to Bravo. So I think if you were like somebody like Candy Burris, especially, just pitch all the shows and hopefully one of them will land. These guys are top tier. A lot of the other franchises try to do it. Unfortunately, no one really hits as hard as the Jersey guys. So I would like to see more. You said from who? From Joe Gorga.
Joe Gorga and Frank Catania.
I feel like we need a little bit more than just them, but I'm still interested to see what it is.
It's their show. They're going to be the ones who are spearheading this. They're going to be the ones that are going to be center of attention of this. I don't know anybody else who will be on the cast, but also if the people didn't know, let's tell the people we are coming to you from the East Coast because let me tell you, there's nothing that's going to stop us from bringing you a show. I don't care where I'm at. Ronnie does not care where he's at. Ronnie is actually up in New York, in the Empire State, Concrete Jungle, and Russell Ray is here in Nashville working on some projects. And yeah, we were gonna make it happen.
And I'm glad
Ronnie
we
was like,
stopped
"Yeah, what's
down.
up, sport? What time we doing the show today?"
Yes.
And I was like, "This is the time we got." And got to the hotel, got changed, got
Yeah.
on, got everything edited that I needed to do, and now we're here. So
We
welcome.
we work it out pretty well. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. I wouldn't tell you to do that if there wasn't a specific reason, but I always say subscribe to our stuff because we are creators that kind of we hit it when we can. You know what I mean? Sometimes our schedules are that busy that we can't always give you a show at a consistent time. But even today, like my YouTube shorts, like I think I added over the last like 4 days, like probably like close to 20 YouTube shorts. So there's just always something. Oh, there we go. Look at
Yes,
and
sir.
you could rest assured a couple of those are about Melissa Gorga, a couple of those are about Larsa Pippen, and a couple of those are about Drag Race, Jessica Wilde. We did
Just
the
a
segment
while.
last week, Escandalo. So
Escándalo.
yeah, man, like we're having fun. So do definitely comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you for watching the show. But I like the episode. Can I tell you my Melissa thing real quick?
Tell me.
It's very quick and easy. So when the season started, everyone had this information that it's going to be this, oh, you're going to see. And listen, we have one episode left. Maybe there's going to be something. But for all of this, you're going to see Melissa. Like, I feel like she has actually played a very good hand this season. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know what it'll look like next week when she gets that information. Will she come out of pocket and act, I don't know how you would act when you have that information being said about you. But the point is, the whole season, all the Teresa fans or whoever, they made it like, oh, you're gonna see. We haven't seen anything. If anything, we saw Melissa tell Andy, you're not a therapist. We saw Melissa sort of go at who she needed to go at, but also have an emotional range to cry because even me, like I'm a very confident person. I would like to say, but then I cry and I get sensitive and we all have these things. Melissa to me is just very relatable. And I would say, what do you think, Russell? 1 out of 10. I would say she's performed at a 9 this whole season. So all of you who swore she was going to be let go, kiss my ass, really, is what I'm thinking.
I would give Melissa an honest 8.5. I would, just because there were some missed opportunities. And there was some opportunities where she could have really honed in on this craft and become the center of attention of Housewives. And I feel like Dolores kind of took that spotlight this season. But again, that a lot has to do with editing, and we don't have control over that, and neither does Melissa. However, there are things that you can do to make yourself stand out a little bit more, so where you don't have missed opportunities, no matter how hard editing tries to take you out of this. So I'll give her a solid 8.5.
I also think that's a credit to Dolores. Dolores,
Absolutely.
I just can't, when the people, and I don't know why I'm even acknowledging the people, but the people like, oh, Dolores didn't bring a lot. It wasn't enough. Dolores was so fun to watch. I'm not that hung up on drama all the time. It was a magical season for Dolores. I wasn't even all the way for Polly at the beginning, and now I'm like, she took me on a journey. And so yes, Dolores may have been the lead, so to speak, and Melissa might have been right behind, but that's just a kudos to both of the ladies really giving a wonderful season. Yeah,
absolutely. I feel like Dolores saw her moment, and Dolores went ahead and she shined. And as we found out in today's episode, apparently Paulie already has the ring. So let's get right into it with the episode. So today's episode, actually, if you're having a little drinky drink or you're having a little midnight cap or a mid-afternoon cap because it's 5 o'clock somewhere, our word of the day is going to be Joe. And we're going to head right into Twintastic, where Marilyn and Carolyn, Jen Fessler's mom and her twin sister, I was loving them. I think they were a mess, but in a good type of way. We see where Jen Fessler gets her rambunctiousness from, because her mom is very much that way. But here's the thing I have to say about this whole situation. Sorry, I'm like,
this might be our one.
I sit on the booster seat because I'm only 5'1".
This might be our one technical difficulty episode, but we try our best. We do.
I'm actually 5'10", so if anybody's gonna look at my height, that's really how tall I am. I'm 5'10". Anyways, so when it came to the situation, or just the conversation between Jen Fessler, Carolyn, Marilyn, and Margaret,
Margaret, yeah.
They started bringing up Teresa and Melissa's drama, which I get it. It's all about the show, and this is what you need to do. However, I don't think outside outside resources need to be involved in this situation if they're not part of the immediate group. Not saying that you can't ask your elders for advice or for guidance, but at the same time, we need to recognize that these people have no interest or relation to Teresa or Melissa. So therefore, it's irrelevant and it doesn't need to be on the show, because then those people go and they continue. And mind you, I feel like Marilyn and Carolyn are two very lovely ladies, and I feel like they are a good time. But with a good time also comes the innocence of just letting information out. So not only that, this information could potentially get out again, come back full circle, and be something completely different than what it actually is. So
I thought it was only brought up because they were indicating, have you as twins ever, what is it, like fought over the same guy or something like that? Like I thought it was in that vein that why they were talking about stuff like that. Or am I completely off on that?
no, I think you're right on track with that. However, I feel like they could have like very easily segued down another alley to just get rid of it and just. I get it. Teresa and Melissa are the center of Housewives of Jersey, and they are, they are the moment in a sense.
Melissa is the moment. Yes.
You know what? I feel like
you've over the last episode and a half, you have.
Ronnie Jr. We're freezing. What's going on?
Our ASMR episode because we were recording.
Wait, you're freezing. Wait, we're gonna go to the solo shot. Pretty much, Ronnie was gonna say, over the past episode and a half, I have been a little shady towards Melissa Korka.
What happened?
Okay. Tell the people what you were gonna say. I don't know what's going on with again. Ronnie and I are in different locations. We're not at home. We are bringing you the show. We're bringing you the live show from the areas that we're at. So with that being said, sometimes Wi-Fi isn't as dependable as we would like it to be because it's not the network that we might have signed up for. However,
very true.
We're still making it happen.
Yeah.
Okay, Ronnie, back to you.
No, I was just saying you were being very fair, and I like that because I try my best to do that. I will honestly say that I have not a bias towards Melissa. I just really haven't really seen reason to look so deep into, her errors or whatever. I feel like she's been having a really good season, but I think that was very valuable last week. You were willing to say that you think, you said something along the lines that you feel like both the Melissa and Joe side and the Teresa and Louis side, they're doing this game for the camera to evoke sympathy. I don't say that I 1000% agree with you, but I definitely look and I saw it a little bit more this episode. So I commend you for being fair in that way. Yeah.
Thank you. And look, that's all I'm trying to be is fair, because I have to realize, as much as I am the story and I want to be part of the story, and as much as I bring to the table and as fabulous as I am, I need to recognize that I am not the story of Housewives of New Jersey. Now, I do know a couple people that live in New Jersey, and I would be willing to be on the show if they asked me.
Well, there you go. You said Joe and Frank are going to have a show. They can't just have the same guys. It would be this, like, you need something fresh. So, as Miss Jones always says on 94.7 The Block in New York City, I accept. So, Andy Cohen, when you want to continue that phone call, Russell and I, with the proper wages, we can make that happen. Can we shout out real quick? Speaking of wages and being funny or whatever, switching gears. Can we spend like 2 seconds sending love and support? I grew up in a union family based on another job, but just with the writer's strike, all that's going on. It has nothing really to do with reality TV per se. But we know so many people in the world of obviously reality TV, but like scripted series as well. Russell and I over the years have met a lot of really cool people. So anyone who is affected by this, which we all are affected by this because it sets a precedent. So just a little support for the WGA as this is all happening. Switching gears back to some fun stuff though.
Wait a minute. We absolutely 100% support you. I know a few people that are taking part in the writer's strike, one of them being Bradley Bredwig, who written and produced The Fosters, then moved on to Good Trouble, and he has Scissorhands, which will be coming to Los Angeles, I believe, very soon.
Oh, nice.
If you haven't got your tickets, check that out. And again, we stand in solidarity with them because without writers, we would have no talent. So, and without talent, these huge corporations would not be making the money that they're making. So
Mhm.
what we're asking is that you pay writers what they're worth. Just like any other job, inflation is through the roof. If you cannot pay them, you should not be in business. Number one. Number two, Gavin
Nope.
Newsom in California, as much as we love that man, needs to give incentives to production companies so that they can have tax breaks so that they can pay their people more to stay in California and stop moving out of state. That is a fact. We need to match tax breaks. People came to Hollywood for Hollywood movies. Now they are leaving Hollywood for Hollywood movies. That's a whole nother situation that we'll talk about. But this is a great segue into going into
Last thing with
news.
the twins. Coming
tell
up
us.
with Barbara Streisand, cool as shit. And
This
also
is a subtle flex.
subtle flex, gave a little bit more of a story without giving too much. Like I liked it, and I think like we're already liking Jen Fessler. So aside from her being too still at the reunion, which we've heard that she might have been a little bit lackluster, I think she's given a good enough season to come back. So good on Jen Fessler, bringing in your mother, and your mother's sister was very worth the while. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, they're just so interesting. They reminded me of I Love Lucy for some reason. They really
Yeah.
did. They were just quirky and fun, and I can see them being a reoccurring character in the series because they just bring a little fun and light to it versus the
Yeah.
drama. And we need some fun.
It was like watching Rhea Perlman, but there was two of them. I loved it. I was all about it. Yeah. I was like Carla from Cheers, but there's two. Yeah.
Yes. Now moving into housewife news. There is so much housewife news. Kim Zolciak Biermann has filed for divorce from Croy. And it's been well over 10 years since they've been married. But Croy is filing a petition for sole custody of all the kids. I mean, it's a very just a bad. It's Housewives news this week, but it's just bad news all the way around the board. And I mean, we can't help but address it. Jen Shah's first photos of her live in prison have been released. A paparazzi caught her walking in the yard, and fans have gone crazy. They want to know what conversations she was having, what she's been up to, what she's scheming. It was one of the tweets that I read. What she's scheming in prison, because who gets a paparazzi shot in prison? We haven't seen one. So this is another housewife historic moment where it's like we're seeing what's going on without having cameras enter, but actually having an outside resource that's actually capturing a live moment, which is, I mean, it seems like she was doing great. She had a watch on. She looked great in her little jumpsuit. Like, you know, make it work. It's not about where you're at. It's about what you do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely not trying to take away from anything that she did do, but now you're serving the time and you got to do what you have to do what's right. And this is what's right, is to serve your time in order to honor those people that you did wrong. So you got to pay back what you did to them. So there's that.
Coincidentally, also, I guess, I mean, Salt Lake City has been really tough to watch the last couple seasons, but I believe the cast also went on a international cast trip, which they've not been able to do because of Jen over the last couple of years. So maybe that'll spice things up. I mean, on one hand, it's like, is the show going to be as good without Jen's stuff? But on the other hand, you know, you gotta move on. So.
In good news, I forgot there is good news. In good news, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills have been spotted in Spain on their cast trip filming, which I found very exciting. I love Spain. Most of the time I'm in Spain, but just minus the S. So
what the? Okay.
And that's
this dad joke is brought to you by Insane. Is that what you're saying? Okay, Insane in the Membrane. Got it. Go.
Oh my God. Now we're really dating ourselves.
We're very well. I'm older than you. I always say I am an 80s baby, so I'm over 40. So deal with it. And this metabolism, though it's giving me a little bit of trouble, I think I like myself. So what?
Look, Ronnie, you are about to come out on top because you are not a bottom.
Oh, wow. What is happening here? The whole kit and caboodle right there. Okay. Well, I don't know what just happened, but now we're just talking about what's on the Grinder profile. I don't know what's happening. but okay.
In other Housewives news,
that was not
we actually-
Housewives news,
that was not Housewives news,
but that was a live episode, and you're gonna always get cool shit on the live episode, I guess.
absolutely.
There you go. Which we should put more of
Absolutely.
this on Patreon, but that's another story for another day.
In other Housewives news, we actually ended up finding out some rather devastating news that Gertie from the Real Housewives of Miami has been diagnosed with cancer. She's very optimistic. She says she found it early in a statement that she released on her Instagram and across her media platforms. She stated that everyone should go out and get checked because it's literally your life at stake. Gertie has a strong backing of love that's supporting her through this moment in time. She's confident that she's going to get through it. Dr. Nicole also shouted out some love from the Real Housewives of Miami to Gertie in support of her fight against cancer. And we just want to say anybody that's going through these, anybody that has to deal with this, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Our thoughts and prayers are with Gertie. As we seen Martina come out on the other side from her cancer. She finished her cancer treatment. She's in remission. She's doing great. We know we're going to see Gertie do the same thing. She's going to conquer this and she's going to come out on top, and we're going to see her stronger and better than ever. She has a wonderful husband and kids behind her that are supporting her. And more housewife news. Danielle from the Real Housewives of New Jersey has been subpoenaed by her publication or by her publicist, who actually got her, rumored to have got her on the Real Housewives of New Jersey, stating that she has yet to pay them. They blocked her, or she's blocked them, and she has not contacted them whatsoever. Speaking of Danielle, we were actually going to go right into her. So I want to know what you think about. I want your thoughts on all the news that we received today, good and bad, because I know like you and I are on the same page with a lot of things. So I just want the people to hear your thoughts and everything that came out today.
In terms of her and any type of legal stuff she's going through,
or Housewives, but just like Housewives of Beverly Hills shooting in Spain. Then we found out about Gertie. Then we found out, about Kim and Kroy.
Well, the Kim thing will always be probably I wouldn't say the most interesting, but the most like you really got to like read through and see what's legit, because a lot of things, I mean, I do feel for her and him if the union is breaking up. However, like Kim always has headlines that don't always match the truth. So let's just dig a little deeper. That's a nice way of saying I believe the story, but also let's dig a little deeper. In terms of Gertie, Gertie, this is her third season on Real Housewives of Miami. Though within the show, I wasn't always loving everything, but I think this is going to be some season to watch. I just like relate it to like one of my best friends is going through colon cancer, and just to see and hear all that is involved. It's like I don't know if it's a catch-22, but it's like on one hand, you're going to go through this very difficult scenario and get on the other side, but on the other hand, you have the show you're also filming. Like, does that make it more complicated? Does that give her more of a purpose and motivation? Like, I don't know the answer to it, but it allows me to have a lot of compassion for Gertie. And Gertie had such a, like you said, a wonderful husband, the kids. And in fact, if anything, in the past 2 seasons, it's been about her being too busy and moving 100,000 miles a minute for the sake of her business. So this might be a really magical, again, when she gets to the other side of it, because what she's going through is definitely a difficult situation, but there might be some purpose that she gains throughout it all. So it will be interesting to watch on the show as they get into season 6. And then what else did you say? Beverly Hills is
shooting in Spain.
Yeah, I don't know.
They were shooting in Spain.
I don't know if I'm not the biggest Beverly Hills fan to begin with, and I'm feeling like, do we need Lisa Rinna to come back? Like, I'm feeling like I acknowledge maybe some of her wrongdoings, but it's when you look at those cast pictures, it looks lovely. But the word I always say is compelling is compelling is compelling is compelling. And I don't think it's compelling. So
speaking of Lisa Rinna, can we just say that nothing has been leaked to the press about Beverly Hills this season? And coincidentally, Lisa Rinna is not on cast.
I mean, I couldn't hear you. I don't necessarily. That's
funny because I can't hear you either.
Did you mute me? How
No,
could you?
that was a connection.
How dare you? This show is off the rails already.
Literally going off the rails. And Danielle, what do you think about that? I don't know if this is entirely true. Again, lawsuits are on both sides, and one's going to claim one thing and the other's going to claim the other. So maybe they were expecting more payout for the show, and that was actually what was not negotiated. Or maybe this was just done as a solid. So she didn't feel like she owed them.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's like the person gets on, they get this big opportunity, they become like a liability for all of, some of the people they've worked with in the past. So I would like to look deeper into this story as well. I'll start with the positive with Danielle. Actually, I'll just stay in the positive. I liked her in this episode. I really feel connected to her mother. I don't know why. Like her mother really is, I don't know. It's like Danielle's a very outspoken lady, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like I love the way the mother not gets her together, but really holds her accountable and makes her think about things. And when they were talking about the brother, it was intriguing to me in a way that I was kind of like, well, if she don't want to bring it up and it's not going to be brought up, like let's leave it alone. But this episode, I did feel it a little bit more. I was like, okay, I mean, she has said, and they have said that the brother or the sister-in-law won't ever come on the show or explain their side, but something about the way the mom explained it felt more natural and more human, which I thought was cool. And then the last thing I'll say about her is I do think this is like a slight critique, but anyone would go through this, so I'm not knocking. In her first appearance at Watch What Happens Live, she was giving, that thirst level that like Candace always had on Real Housewives of Potomac. She was giving that the first time. And I feel, and even Candace has grown and evolved. She's grown and evolved, yes. But like Danielle felt a little bit more at home. And I like to see that because, when you're starting a new opportunity, you and I can relate to this with all the TV and radio work that we've done over the years. It's like you're sometimes put in these situations where you're the newbie and you got to find your place.
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah, look, you got to find your place on Housewives. Like, these are established individuals who have been doing this for seasons. I mean, we have Melissa, we have Teresa, and they've been filming together for 10 years. So you're right. You have to find your place and you have to establish yourself in order to make your place. And not only that, but you have to be differentiated from the rest of the cast. That way you bring something special and new, or we know in housewife history, you don't last and you get moved on and passed over. And then you have 3 or 4 other people on standby that have already submitted tapes that the network is ready to bring in just in case someone drops the ball, they lose someone to scandal. Like we've lost a few housewives to scandals. So you're right.
Thank you. I like being right.
You're wrong.
I don't like being wrong. I'm always like, are you sure? let me convey a different side of it. Oh man, and we're not even playing a game yet, and I'm already getting the buzzer. Damn it, man. Anyway. Ding 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 ding.
Oh, I miss our games. We're gonna have one coming very soon. I've been working on a couple, but like as we know, you and I have both been traveling so much. So
yeah.
If y'all checked my Instagram, I was in Orlando, and then I went to Disney World, I went to Universal, I went to go see the closing night of Kinky Boots, which was choreographed by world-renowned choreographer James Tuwau, who is now working on Virgin Voyages, and they set voyage, I think, either tomorrow or last night out of the port of Italy. So,
wow, all right.
Back to Danielle. I did want to talk about. I was surprised to hear, which I think it was been addressed in the episode before or episodes prior, that Danielle's brother actually cut the mom off as well, because the mom has taken, according to Danielle's side, and so therefore they're not part of the little girl's life, which is her brother's daughter, which is the niece and the granddaughter. Like they're not part of that life. I cannot imagine being a grandma and being X'd out of my grandchild's life, let alone it's already tough anyways for historically, especially like in our culture. Historically, you're always closer to the maternal grandmother's side or to the maternal side of the family opposed to the paternal side of the family. So that's already kind of a given of they are going to be closer with his wife's family because that's just how it goes. And so, like, not only is there that, but now there's this whole issue between him and Danielle. But at the same time, like, you're really going to cut your mother off for calling you out and doing what a parent is supposed to do. Again, we don't know the whole story, but that's kind of where it's at. And
Well, yeah, and I felt like that's why I was saying a second ago how like it felt more human, with
Mhm.
Danielle, she is, and there's nothing wrong with being loud, but like she is so loud, so you miss the key points. So there's something that does alarm me. It's like, well, if the mother's going through something like that, like where does I'm not saying the mother has to have an accountability, she should take accountability, but how did that happen? Like, was it intentional on her end? Did she continue to brush up on the son and say, you need to make it right? And he finally said, screw that, and sever the tie with her. Like, I would like to know that. Like, is the mother giving us this warmth, but does she have a feisty side to her opinions too? And again, nothing wrong with that, but it just makes me wonder, like, who's at fault, I guess. When you add that extra component outside of just Danielle, who is going to get a little excited about things, it makes me wonder a lot more. So unfortunately, this just becomes a thing that we all want to see. And maybe that was, I don't know. I don't know, but I think Danielle's third season, fourth season, like, we need a resolve on this, don't you think?
I think so too. But I also wouldn't put it past them offering Danielle's brother a spot on the show in order to get the story out, even not even as a full character, but as a partial character. And I feel like that's such a hard opportunity to pass up. So even if they're not speaking, I feel like he could potentially take this because this is an opportunity for your kids. This is an opportunity for your wife. This is an opportunity for yourself. You can, even though he would be a secondary character and the focus would be on his wife, it would still add a dynamic to the show that is very similar and familiar to the fan base. So therefore they would latch onto it because we've seen this happen with Teresa when she was still married to Joe. When Danielle Staub brought up her when she asked Teresa, did you acknowledge your nephew? And Teresa got upset. So
Mhm.
we can very much see this could turn into a typecast that if Teresa or Melissa left, Danielle's sister-in-law can very much well step into the picture because they already have a shoe-in for her being on the show.
Well,
Now, if
Danielle
Danielle will
keeps.
stay and resign, we don't know.
Oh gosh, she would love to stay and resign. I don't think Danielle wants to go at all. And maybe that's part of the maneuvering that she is doing. Like, every time it's being asked, she's like, "Oh no, my sister-in-law, she would never go on the show. My brother, he would never." Like, maybe that's all part of it. You know what I mean? What happens between the
Yeah.
seasons? Like, maybe she realized. I mean, here's the sad thing about Danielle. Even the fans of Danielle, like people who really like her, and we did like her at the beginning, but fortunately, this is the most exciting thing from Danielle. So that
Yeah.
hard 1000%, no, they will not. When you got the television and the money that comes with, I mean, there are family members, I won't go into detail, that I know who've not, but if a project or an opportunity came, you know,
Mhm.
and it's not
Mhm.
about, here's the difference. I mean, I guess when you try to compare it to like the Melissa and Joe thing, it's like, well, Melissa always wanted to be on camera. True. But also, you know, people that limelight is hard to pass up, I guess I would say.
It
So
is. And let me just tell you, when I had my show on the Peacock Network that you can find,
come on with the
when I landed
flex.
it, when I landed my show, Create the Escape as the designer and host of Create the Escape on Peacock TV that you can catch now that's streaming. Um, I will tell you, people came out of the woodwork. Family members came out of the woodwork to, I don't know if they wanted to latch on, if they wanted to start building a relationship. They hadn't spoken to me in 12, 15 years. I was
Mhm.
working at Budweiser at the time, and I ran into one of my family members at the store that I was a salesman at for Budweiser, and I said hello, and they didn't acknowledge me. They actually walked past me, and I did this 3 times until I finally said, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. But all of a sudden, when I got this TV show, they're so excited for me. They reached out to me. They sent me like oodles and oodles of love. And I will say, like, I appreciate any type of love that comes my way, any type of love and positivity that comes my way. I take that all in. I appreciate it. But at the end of the day, you have to know where you lie, because I've already tried to give you love and it wasn't there. So now that you're trying to give it back, like, I accept it, but you're okay where you're at and you're going to stay there. So you're right. That limelight is hard to pass up. And I do believe that they would jump all over that if they have the opportunity.
And I don't even think when people latch on, I don't even think it's about them remembering how they weren't there for you on other opportunities. It's
Yeah.
almost about curiosity more than anything. So that's why I said you don't have to have it in your mind like, well, what if Danielle's a ham? She wants to be on camera. You know, Danielle's quite clear about that, you know, from her MTV appearance, and she moved to LA to become an actress and all these things. So we get that. I guess here would be a great example. I think I could say this for your family as well, but I'll just say it for mine. Like, I'm the only one in my immediate family who does this kind of thing. But like, my brother's funny as all can be. He's worked a blue collar job, but don't think if I got on and I got an opportunity, not going against me, but I'm saying, what would make you not want to do something fun like this? You know what I mean? Maybe some people actually wouldn't, but I would say that a lot of people are just into the curiosity. And you're right, they latch onto when the success comes. So Danielle's hard stance about absolutely not, I feel like somebody might even tell her, like, we're not bringing you back on until we get to the bottom of this. So I think the goalpost will change. I'm not saying that's bad on Danielle's part. She's generally okay. She just didn't match up to Rachel Fuda, in my opinion. And I can't believe I'm saying that. But Rachel has been consistent. She's dry as dirt. And I mean that in a good way. I love that kind of person. Yeah, but out of the newbies, they both brought it. Yes, they did. But Rachel was a little more entertaining, in my opinion.
I think she was too. And Rachel actually brought some heartfelt moments to the show, wanting to adopt John Fuda's oldest son, because she's raised him since the time she was 23. And that's the first time that they met. And his mom is not in the picture. And she gave us kind of every side of her that she has to offer. She gave us the side that's going to defend her and her own. She gave us the side that's going to defend her friendships. She gave us the side that's going to defend herself, who's also going to be a good
Did it go away? Did it go away? Did the computer freeze? Attention, control room. Attention. Attention, control room. Russell is in the middle of a thought. He is about to just tell it like it is. But right now, it's frozen. I got to go look and see if I could see if it's frozen on all the platforms. Let's just double check. But I'll keep talking just in case. Okay, so I'm definitely here. So anyways, that's my YouTube channel. What I think he was saying was Rachel's given us a lot of different elements. Rachel has been a bit of a surprise, you know.
and I was checking to see if it was on or not.
Yeah. We were still having a conversation about Rachel, and I think what you were conveying is that she's given so many different sides of her personality. You know what I mean? And I think that's like a cool thing. I relate to it quite a bit. You know, some of the people that I enjoy the most have always been people that are they're not one dimensional. And I think the thing that really makes Rachel exciting to me, Russell, is that she's young, and I usually always hate the young ones. Like, I'm always like, oh God. But does she have an old soul? Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm okay with Rachel Fuda. I really am okay with it. Mm-hmm.
I think she's just a good, and I don't mean this like in any like condescending type of way, but I think she's just a good kid. Like, honestly, like, even though her and I are the same age, I think she's just like, oh my God, we're the same age. I think she's a good kid, and I just think that she has a good vulnerability to her. And she's going through the motions of life of the same things that I'm going to and going through, and it's very relatable because We've all been here. You've been here. You know what I mean? Like, even though you're 2 years older than me, like it's very much like right there. So
Can I say something that I understand it's a TV show, but I didn't really love when a lot of people made it like, oh, she's developing this thing with the son for a storyline. I'm like, there's just sometimes things that go on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't it's like people overuse the word storyline and they've never even like been on television. They've never segment produced. How do you know? You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it literally is the pre-interviews that go on before the season, all the things that you're going through, and it's how the show wants to cover it. This was obviously a big story, so they were going to cover it. What I think though is that I most specifically enjoyed the scene because, Rachel is going to convey the scene for the most part. She's going to drive the conversation. She's going to say what she feels, and this is what I want. However, I think it's important that we saw a little bit of, I think his name is it Jaden is the name of the of her stepson. Like, I just don't like the idea or the narrative that like, oh, it's just such a storyline that she did this. How do you know if she was 23? I think it was what she said when she first got with John, and John had a small. I guess I don't know how old the kid would have been at the time, but like, how do you not know that this is part of their lives? You know what I mean? And I thought she shared it well, but above that, he was a little nervous, the kid, the 16-year-old. But I felt like he really was into it too, and he was like, no, I want you to be that legal guardian. You know what I mean? I mean, these things are very important, so before we judge and say, oh, storyline, like, I don't know, when you say that, you convey that she's not being sincere. And why would somebody who's been with this kid, John's first child, in their lives for so long, why would they not want to make this an official thing? But I just didn't like the narrative that I'd hear, like, oh, if she really cared, she would have done it years ago. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Like, let her do it. It's still a magical moment. And the thing is, and I'll stop here, Russell, this is still a relatable thing because people do get into these mixed families and where you stand within that. And I really loved the way she said, I mean, maybe this could have been for television, but I like the way she said, tell me if I'm overstepping, if I'm this, if I'm that. But she wasn't. And you could just tell with John and with Rachel, they both were talking in a way where they would like indicate, they're like, oh, well, mom says this or mom that. And they were talking about Rachel, because again, they've been so paramount in each other's lives. It's something that I would never know how to handle. Like if I dated somebody and we got married and they had a little 8-year-old or something like that, I don't know how that would be. I don't know. I think it is a bit of a challenge. So the fact that it became a beautiful moment, let's not shit on that. It's just all I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I also think there's something to be said too about our system of why is it not okay to have full guardianship of a child that you raise? What, like, even if the custody was 50-50, I feel like Rachel should still have that entitlement of that 50%, the same as John does, where she can make calls on behalf of the kid. So like, I just think that there's a better way to go. There's a better way to go about a lot in our society. Things should not be as hard as they are. Adoption should not be as hard as it is. Going into politics and talking about abortion should not, like, you should not be making a decision based on somebody else's body. Number one. Number two, if you are so much about saving children's lives, every single person that I see lobbying for abortion, against abortion, has no adopted children. So they're not one to talk. The ones who are for abortion are actually the ones adopting, who are having the hardest time adopting. So our system is flawed in so many ways. And I don't think it should be as hard for Rachel and John to have full custody and Rachel to adopt Jaden as putting out the articles and contacting the birth mother. Like, you lost custody, and if you lost custody 10 15 years ago, there's a reason for it. And I did do some digging, but I also don't want to badmouth the person.
Exactly. It's where her life went. Yeah. And like, yes. I'm the same. I'm not going on TikTok to dig
from the situation. You're not even a part of it anymore.
I think ultimately, Yeah, and I think ultimately the thing that got me was more the emotion that it's not like the kid had ill feelings towards her, but the
Yeah.
kid was like, well, wait, if she doesn't have custody, how can she like it was just such an honest question. So
Yeah.
if you're not a Rachel Fuda fan, then you probably like were like picking at it, nitpicking at the scene. But for me, I was very okay with it. And again, I have not done if there's other information that's on TikTok, real in the deep, little situation. I don't know. I'm going off what we saw on the television show. I felt like it was honest, and I felt like it was a good thing because lots of people go through that. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
felt like it was a good representation on the television show. Mhm.
I also thought it brought diversity and inclusion to the show as well because I don't believe we've seen this before. We've seen stepchildren or bonus children, depending on how
Yeah.
you want to look at it, but
Mhm.
we've never seen a situation where someone is actually thoroughly trying to adopt someone that they've raised whose parent is still around.
Yeah.
Not necessarily involved, but just still around in general, like here on Earth. And so this also brings that inclusivity to those people who are watching the show, like, oh, wow, this person's like me. And I'm sure Danielle's inbox has been flooded with support and advice and, people that are just cheering her on in
Yeah.
this aspect because there are things that you just can't help. And I've watched a situation like this personally where, you know, someone lost the custody of their kids because they just went down the wrong road.
Mhm.
And you have to remember when you're having a child that both of you are in this in the best interest for the child. So
Mhm.
whatever needs to be done for the child. That's why I hate when I see people who can't get over their feelings between each other. I don't like you. You don't like me. I'm going to try to strip the kids away from you. This is not about you not liking each other. This is about what's in the best interest of your kid. If both of you are equally there for your kid and love your kid, then you both need to get over yourselves and make this happen. I can tell you so many people who don't even have a picture with both parents smiling, and the parents can't get over it, and it's been 15 plus years.
Well, it's
They can't
probably
get over
easier
it
said
and
than
be
done,
happy for their
though.
child.
It's probably easier said than done. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's probably
Yeah.
really, really difficult to get to that place. One last thing.
But you don't even need to get to like a best friend, like Frank and Dolores type place. You just
Mm,
need to get to the place where if your child says, oh my gosh, I just graduated high school. Oh my gosh, I just became a lawyer. Oh my gosh, I just became a doctor. I want both of my parents to stand next to me and smile because they're proud of me, not
well,
because
that's
of
the
anything
thing.
they have to do with each other.
If you're the kid, would you want that? I don't know that I would want that. I mean, it's easier, I didn't have that scenario, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know that I would want like, I mean, I don't know. But I guess that is something that kids would still want. This is my birth mother. This is my birth father, or the one that raised me. The
Yeah.
last thing I was going to say about all this is, while on one hand, these stories are less fun and exciting as like I'm going to call you a rat or whatever, or you got an arsenal. Do you notice how when we have the scenes, Russell, where it's like rat and arsenal and all these things, there's not a lot to dive into because it's like people performing on television. Jennifer Aiden, it's her performing on television. But these scenes that feel more real, where you have to like check yourself and say, wow, if a camera was put on me and then my family got to be involved in some way, somehow, what would that look like? And this is why Danielle's story is working, or at least intriguing, versus the you're a rat. That didn't really go anywhere. It was fun. It was like fluff, I guess, for the show. Not fluff, but it was buzzy. But and then Rachel with the adoption, and even Jennifer Aiden with what she was doing for her brother, and the great storytelling that I just feel like I'm so glad we're seeing a little bit more of that. In order for these shows to work, in my opinion, I'm not the network executive, but the way that they work, you have to give us something that feels more like a human versus just, like I said, Rat, Arsenal, I talked to Laura, Melissa's in the back of the car. All of that feels very like you're performing because
Mhm.
these women have to do this for the sake of the show. But I like these personal stories quite a bit. Yeah, I really do.
So do I. It actually rounds out the show itself, and it allows for us to have these conversations. And it's important that we get back to a place, just as people in general, that we can have nuanced conversations like this. Because it seems like more often than less in today's time, if you don't 100% agree with me, then we have a problem. And it's like, no, this is how we grow as individuals, and this is how we expand our minds. Is we have these nuanced conversations where you and I can have differences of opinion, but also draw the same conclusion on how we're going to get there. And just like you and I had, we kind of had different approaches when it came to Danielle and John and the situation that they're going through. And we both had the same information, and we both agree on everything. We both agree on the fact of like, let's not dig farther into this because there's no need to shed light on something that's already like, it's already just,
Well,
it's out of
and
the
listen,
picture. It's out of the moment. It's not even, it's
Russell,
irrelevant to the conversation.
also finalizing this, it's the sincerity of this kid's experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So before we are just going to be these messy commentators, like,
Yeah.
where I really care is about Rachel's aspect with this, John's aspect with this, the
Yes.
child's aspect with this, and even
Yes.
I guess the birth mothers I will acknowledge, but so I'm not one of the, and you're not either, with these commentators that are just digging for all this mess. And it's like, okay, if you do that, great, but you also have to own, like, how much sincerity do you have for the scenario at hand? And so I don't want to sound like we're like the greatest of people, but we are.
But we're also not, we're not TMZ, and we're not Wendy Williams.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Coming for Wendy? Oh goodness.
I will say there would be no entertainment news outlets if it wasn't for Wendy. But I like that certain networks took a positive spin to it and brought it where, like, we want to tell your story. We want to tell you about, we want to talk about, your limelight moments. We want to do these things. We don't want to dig up your dirt, because here's the thing. People don't want to relive the past. Even though Oprah Winfrey has always said the truth will set you free.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't need the entire truth to come out, because you're such in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
You're such in a good place, and you're doing good things, and all bringing up the past is going to do is drag you down. Sometimes there are some times where it'll uplift you and allow yourself to relate to other people in an even deeper and special way.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also those moments where it can be left behind and never mentioned again, because it's just so tragic and emotional or just draining that it doesn't need to be brought up.
Yeah.
What
else from the episode stood out to you?
Modern Family Dolores.
Oh, this was my meat and potatoes. I loved it so much. I loved it because we don't really
I was back and forth with it.
Really? Was it boring to you?
Yeah. It wasn't boring.
Oh, I liked it.
Let me hear your thoughts on it first, and I'll give you mine.
I'll just give you a couple quick thoughts. I felt like
some spark notes from you and use it.
I felt like it was a little bit of growth in terms of, we had just heard last week, Frank, we've heard little stories over the years of like, they weren't always this close. This was a convenient thing for television. And so the way the trailer had set up, I guess, 2 episodes ago, maybe 1 episode ago, I can't recall. Mm-hmm. But it was like as if Frank was crying for her, and he was having emotions for Dolores for sure. But it was also about like losing his mother, and like, when people step in as a void during a difficult time. So I felt like this kind of finalized that and completed that story and gave a little bit of growth for Frank. So we didn't have to be mad at him, because it was so easy for us to be mad. It was like, our beloved Dolores, we want the best for her. Frank, get out of the way. And I felt like it was a really warm way to see that being done. And again, I just said a second ago, I don't always need the big salacious moments for me to enjoy the program. Me personally, I don't. And the other thing I liked is it did feel a little bit like they were all in high gear, because generally, maybe because he was celebrating himself, or that was why they were there. But little Frankie is a little quieter usually. The sisters are usually a little quieter as well. And I felt like Brittany gave her little interesting humor about,
oh my gosh, speaking English.
Yeah. In Dublin, what was your first language? Stuff like that. It felt like everyone was in on, let's make this a really good scene. I'm not saying they were trying to get a spinoff, but I'm saying I would watch a spinoff with that dynamic. It all felt really good to me. And that also might be, this is my last thought here, it also might be because we love Dolores, and that same, I think I said this, or you said this a bit ago, that same excitement that a Teresa fan has because they feel like this is her happy ending, which I don't think it is. Oh. It's like it's like Dolores is giving us a happy ending, and I really want to continue there. And that could be a Peacock streaming show, whatever. Like I'm really following it. Yeah.
I really would love to. Well, going off of that, I would really love to hear Paulie's story, like his entire story. Starting coming over at the age of 23, and now he's this multimillionaire running multiple businesses, and he has this amazing bachelor pad, and he's driving Rolls Royces. And like, sign me up for whatever you're doing because I'm already 7 years behind. Okay.
Yeah.
But also, I landed a TV show when I was 28. So,
Oh, the flex.
which is ironically in perfect alignment with Jennifer Lopez releasing her first album around 28. So, just saying.
Oh, we remember. Yep. Well, I was on Fuse TV at 25. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
just got us both beat. Just throw us in the gutter.
But
Why
I had no contract, so it was
not?
we were going by the seat of our pants. Although I did, when that opportunity ended, I did
What
have a
pants?
meeting. Huh?
What
I had a
pants?
meeting with one of the big bosses at the network, and I was able to talk my way into another meeting at MTV also when it ended. But at the time, maybe I wasn't ready. I didn't come with enough gusto. I didn't come with enough excitement. So you learn these things, And
Yes, you do.
now I'm 42 and I'm giving it. So now all the networks love me. No, I'm kidding.
Yes. I felt the same way when I went to Sony. They interviewed me for one show and they asked me about things and I just kind of said yes and I repeated the question but in a statement. And so
Mm,
I was like the second time it came to it and when they interviewed me for the Queen Latifah show, like I came through with it. Unfortunately,
mhm.
the show got canceled, but I was on and I was ready to go. But that's I digress on that. But
Yeah,
going
and
back to the
maybe.
Modern Family,
Oh, good.
um, I will say I was back and forth with it, and here's why. I was back and forth with this because I feel like we're getting a lot of this emotion from Frank that I don't want to see. It's unnecessary, right?
Mm,
We're getting a little bit of whining and a little complaining. And again, it could be potentially because he feels like he's losing his spot in Housewives and Paulie's going to take over. But I do like that there is a union between all four of them and that they're moving on in a positive way. And I do like that Frank pushed for this to happen. Not Frank, Dolores pushed for this to happen so that it was the four of them and not just the four of them, but it was actually six.
mm,
So I did love that. I also liked a little bit that Frank was kind of engaging with Paulie, and I like that Paulie was engaging back because we all know during the reunion, Frank said he looked like Buzz Lightyear, Paulie. So I feel like Paulie should dress like Buzz Lightyear for Halloween, and I would think that would be so cute. And I feel like Frank
Well,
should
also
dress
Frank
like
acts like
Woody.
he's the most attractive man ever. Let's start there. Frank is, I mean, you are as good looking as your personality. So Frank has a wonderful personality. So I wouldn't say he's not attractive, but I don't know, Frank. You might not be the one to come for someone's looks. Is where I'll leave it. Yeah.
Oh, Uh, true. Very, very, very true. But again, like, I mean, what ex doesn't say that their ex's new spouse is
Oh, it's
ugly? You know what I mean?
that.
I think
Oh,
it's
so
just a thing. You have to do it.
it's like Dolores, you had this and now you have that. Oh, you are so perceptive? Yes, perceptive. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's just brought up just to like bust the chops. But
Mhm.
and here's another thing too with Frank is like it was it's hard when you have a connection to disassociate yourself and rebuild yourself and then come back as completely different people because you have to grow together because you have children together.
Mhm.
So in our case, in our situation, you know, you and I, if we break up with someone, there's
Mhm.
no kids in the picture. So we
Mm.
can cut them off for 6 to 8 a year, 6 to 8 months a year and really kind of get to know ourselves again and then come back into the picture like and then bust each other's chops like you know what
Yeah.
I didn't like you let me tell you why I didn't like you but I like you I could be around you you know what I mean and really have that friendship and bond and not want anything to do with them but I feel like in Frank and Dolores's situation Dolores was able to detach and become her own self and I
Mm.
feel like Frank always sees Dolores as the one that got away because he messed up. And there's sometimes you have to swallow a hard pill and just acknowledge the fact that you messed up and you have to live with that and you have to continue on and continue forward and just respect the fact that she's even allowed you into her life.
Here's the question though. Does he feel that based on Dolores herself, who he got, who he married and had kids with, or is he feeling like he's left out of something because who Dolores became this, beautiful woman, not became, she was always beautiful, but like this beautiful woman, she's on this television show, she's so likable. Like, I wonder if that has, would he have been as appreciative to her if it was just a regular scenario, their previous life? It's just a question, you know what I mean?
I think take the cameras away and Dolores going through the same transition that she did, exactly how we watched it played out on TV, but without the camera, I feel absolutely 100% he would feel like she was the one that got away.
Just because she's such a winner. She's a winner.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have our, and I love the fact that you just made that point because I was having a brain fart and I didn't know how to express it. But we all grow in our own ways, and as we metamorphosize, as a new word that I'm going to make up, as we metamorphosize into the next stage of our embodiment, we become new people in a sense. People don't change, but they also become new. They also learn from their mistakes, and they mold themselves, and you're a constant building that you're creating, right? Because you're never complete. You're only growing. Even as you get old, the wisdom is coming in, everything's coming in. So I think take away the cameras and Dolores going through the exact same transition that she did, even doing the Brazilian butt lift and doing the surgery that, whatever surgery she's had, or dieting or whatever, career growth, changing careers. As we're finding out so much more about Dolores, that she's had so many more careers than we ever knew about, which, my favorite one is always a parole officer, because
you do mention that a lot. Yes.
I love a woman in charge, because you know what? It reminds me of my mom, and and I love when women just they didn't even talk about it. They are about it. You know what I mean? And my mom was that person growing up. She didn't talk about it. She was just about it. She was going to call you out. She was going to show up, make you feel uncomfortable, and then you were going to have to address the situation. And I love that, because Dolores is the same way. She's showing up. She's confronting the situation, and you have to address it. There's no running away with it for her. So I love the fact that she was a probation officer.
My question for the comments or live chat or whatever you want to call it. Am I the only one? Am I the only one who would be very okay with them saying, let's do, even if it was just like a 4-episode thing, like I would want to see this Dolores, and I don't know what you would call it, Dolores's Modern Family. Like I would very much be okay with that. Dolores is special because she gives us the scumbag moments from seasons ago. As much as this season, she didn't sweat for shit, and we still liked it. Now, where there's some people that were online commentating and saying, "Oh, Dolores didn't bring a lot to the show." No, she did. She brought love. She brought unity. She brought people together. Like I was very into it. So everyone will have a different opinion on this, but I'm curious to know, am I the only one who would like to see Dolores's Modern Family as a spinoff or a 4-episode special? Like I'm kind of okay with it. I think we got a lot from that conversation. Brittany was goofy. Frankie never really talks, but he felt more alive. They were proud of the daughter. She said, I always wanted to work in this career, and she's accomplished it. Like it you know what it did, Russell? This is what it did. Oh my God. It made me emotional. Probably. No. Okay. But yes. So it's not that big of a deal, but let me just say, so my career has been up and down. It's been some highs and some lows. And I just really, maybe because we're around Mother's Day is coming up and Mexican Mother's Day and all these things. But I just really, like, we've talked about our career successes, but there's been lows too. And I got so excited to see how excited Dolores was that both of her kids were doing really wonderfully. Like, Frankie's got his dream job at 23, at 23. And he's so good looking too. And, what's the daughter's name is Gabby, right?
Yeah.
And so the pride that Frank had it too, but the pride that she had with her kids, it made me connect. It made me say, Ronnie, when something goes wrong, yes, cry over spilled milk for a moment just to get it out of your system, but sack up and let's fucking go. Because I too, and I'm not saying I have not made my mother proud, But I watched that scene and I thought of my mother in such a way. I says, you got to keep going. You've got randomly, Ronnie, you got to keep going because I want to give what, and I'm sure I have already, but I want to continue to give. Like you said, we never stop growing. We always evolve.
Yes.
Oh,
do
Russell.
our bank accounts. Our bank accounts never stop growing, baby. So if you want to go ahead and make it rain on Ronnie's Patreon, where can they find it?
Patreon.com/randomly Ronnie Jr. And if you're on all the platforms, go to #randomly with Ronnie Jr. That's where you get connected with all of the stuff. I guess that's what it was because it didn't
rain with me. Slip into my DMs and just send me Apple Cash because I'm not. You are not gonna Venmo me because I already know how some of you little scammers work. You got to send me the cold hard cash straight to my phone.
You are a nasty, nasty boy. You're talking about the DMs.
And that is on Robin Hood Had a Little Lamb. Okay.
Yes. Oh, two other Housewives-ish news that we could jump into. Andy Cohen's book was published, so that's definitely something exciting.
Yes.
And adjacent to Housewives, I was going to tell you, I don't know what the ratings were, but there was two new shows, and I actually liked them both. I think I liked Summer House, Martha's Vineyard a little bit better because I watched the regular Summer House as well, and I thought we got a lot of new information about Martha's Vineyard. I've actually, unfortunately, never been, but I've always wanted to go, so I'm going to put that into existence. I'm going to manifest that. And then you had a show called Dancing Queen, which was what was good about this is age was nothing but a number. It was like some of these women, you know, I'm not saying they were past their prime or anything like that, but they were of a certain age and they were, you know, devoting their whole life to this career, this passion. And it was done in a really good way. So two new series on Bravo that I liked, which were Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, and Dancing Queen. And maybe it's the start of Bravo giving different type of storytelling. You know what I mean? We've been doing the same. Bravo has been doing the same thing for a long time. So it's kind of nice to shake it up a little. Yeah.
Oh, dude, let me tell you. All we need, look, Ronnie Jr. Look,
okay, I'm listening.
We already got the connections at Peacock. All we need is for the things to move in the right direction because what the people don't know, and let me just tell you, and here's an exclusive. Housewife, hold on. Let me just make this little banner real quick.
We are live updates on the show. Okay. The control room. Hello, control room. Listen, we got to do it because we've had a couple like stalled moments, but
here's a little R&R exclusive. Ronnie and I came up with 3 pitch decks before we came live. 3 pitch deck show ideas that are genius and will just rock your world. So let me tell you, we're not sleeping, okay? We're just, when the moment comes, we are hitting it out the gate and we're taking off.
It's like when they said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. We really adopted that. And a lot of times, you know, it's like all of these shows, like it takes a while to get pushed out. The show takes a while to get there. So the fact that we've got, I wouldn't even just call them shows. We've got other ideas as well. And they're all sort of kind of coming together. And like you, with your connection, like I said, with Peacock streaming for Create the Escape, me with my connection with radio, 94.7 The Block with Miss Jones. Like it's like a lot is moving and it feels really good. And the thing that I feel proud about is that we consistently stayed on this path. You know, we said we're at the very least going to recap the entire Real Housewives of Miami. And that became so fun that we said, let's take it to Jersey. Just a quick note, since we must talk about it. The premiere of Real Housewives of Atlanta did happen. My icon, Kenya Moore, she did not disappoint. Yes. And I think it was a little growth from last season. Candy showed up in a real way. Candy's husband, Todd, has always had that like, oh, you're riding on her coattails, which I don't necessarily believe because that almost is rooted in like, you can't let the woman succeed or be the breadwinner. Like it's kind of like a little misogynistic, actually, if you really break it down. So I like that we saw Todd was like really busy with work and Candy was kind of trying to still create that family unit, but he was still trying to create his success. Like it was a pretty good, I don't know, put it in the comments if you agree. Housewives of Atlanta, the premiere actually was in the right direction. Yeah, I liked it.
I have my reservations about, here's the thing. And you know what? Oh, wait, I'm pressing the wrong buttons here.
You just want the close up again, please. It was the hazel eyes. Come on, close up again, please. Okay, back to you.
I'm dead. I'm so done with you. Thank you, Ronnie, for joining the show. It's me by
It's been
myself
a
now
long
for the rest
one.
of the night. It's been a long. I've been up since Jesus, how long have I been up? I've been up since 2 o'clock this morning. So you're welcome, everybody. Look, and I'm such a mess. I need to take a shower and like get this dirt off me. Anyways, what I would like to see, going back to the Modern Family thing, is I would actually love to see a Dolores wedding special.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I would love to see a Dolores wedding special. And I think Dolores has the potential to make this happen and have it a 3-part series.
Yeah, I'm
And
with
she
that.
could do the bachelorette party, the rehearsal dinner, wedding day, or 4-part honeymoon.
I was gonna say you add Ireland in that too. Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to admit it, but she's damn near the star of the show. And that's not knocking Melissa or
I've been saying
Teresa.
that since the 2nd episode of this season.
You know, you've been consistent with that. You've
Thank
always
you.
really rocked with her. Yes, you have. And she's been
Oh my God,
great.
I love Dolores.
Yeah. Yeah. Does she feel, I'm not gonna put words in your mouth, but doesn't she feel like we know her? Like she's the one that we feel like we have, like, I don't want to call anyone an archetype on the show, but like I feel like we know somebody who represents like Dolores. I
Baby,
don't know. I don't know
Dolores
what that
follows
is.
me.
Okay, good.
Dolores has been following me for like 5 years now.
Okay.
Like she knows me. She got me out of jail one time. No.
Oh my goodness. Another R&R exclusive.
Not exclusive, baby.
Oh
She
my
said, you know
gosh.
what? I'm gonna be your probation officer. And then she wrote me off and she got all my tickets written off.
Okay, well.
No,
Well,
kidding,
well,
I'm joking.
well.
But as we wrap up today's, which we didn't really talk about Melissa and Teresa that much this episode, which I actually like,
Mhm.
because it gives the other ladies a little bit of time to shine, because we haven't really focused on Jen Fessler and we haven't focused on Danielle, and
Yeah.
Jen Aiden actually did something really sweet, was get her brother's apartment all set
Mhm.
up, and she got her brother a really good apartment. So shout out to Jen Aiden as well. But what I really want to talk about is we are one step closer to the reunion, and the reunion looks have dropped.
Mm.
This is Jen Aiden, which beautiful, giving Middle Eastern goddess with this dress. I think it pays tribute to her culture. It color looks great on her. I love the sleeve, like the see-through sleeve. I love everything. I love the embellishments on it. Just everything about it. Like Jen did that with this dress. She really did.
You know, Jen is not my favorite watch on the show. But even without the plastic surgery, and of course she has changed her look, and you know, the glow up is real. But I think she's always been a beautiful woman, and I think she
She is.
executed this reunion look. I feel like she's extra happy. This was a season that going into it, I feel like she was like in the driver's seat. She was like, my girl, my number one, Teresa,
Yeah.
is basically taking the cake this season. It's going to be all about her, which I've said before that I think Teresa abused that. That's why she's been the way she's been with, you know, the Gorgas, but that's neither here nor there. So I feel like on one hand, this look represents kind of like Jen's success. You know, a lot of times she goes into these reunions saying the most asinine things, and you know, she just looks almost disheveled, like they've mentioned. But this time she didn't. She looked like a goddess. So we always got to keep it funky and keep it real. We'll call out certain things, but yeah, the woman looks gorgeous. She really, really does. And it's been nice. She shared a lot with what she goes through with Bill. Maybe too much within the therapy, but this was a good completion to her season. Yeah.
It was. And here, I also want to pay tribute to the Bravo Insider. Like these photos did come from the Bravo Insider, so we do want to give credit where credit is due. Let's move on to our girl.
Oh,
Dolores
can I say?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, as Jesse Consopoulos used to say from Full House, have mercy. I mean, this is
stunning. She is aging backwards.
And this is to say, we just said some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things about Jen. And it's not like I'm comparing. That's the thing. We are not in the business of dividing these women. You know what I mean? Like, she looks beautiful. Like Dolores really, it's the color of the, I mean, what color is that, like a lavender? Close to a lavender? Yeah.
No, it's like a periwinkle.
Okay. Well, see, you know fashion more than I. So there you go. And I like how tight it is, of course, and then how it opens up at the bottom, and it's so sheer. Yeah, it's really good on her. Yeah, she had a wonderful season.
I feel like Dolores would look great in a mermaid wedding dress, a mermaid cut,
Yeah, maybe.
because it would really accent the things that she wants accented. Just like this is somewhat of a mermaid cut in itself right here. It just a mermaid cut would be a little bit lower, close to the mid shin, and then it would start to flare out. But this is very close to that. And next on the list is Danielle. I think, oh my gosh, every single one of these ladies is serving for this reunion. And Danielle, what a marvelous first reunion look. She's given a little bit of Winifred here with the velvet, the purple velvet, even though Winifred wears green. But I love it. I think she knocked it out the park. She looks great. She's giving Angelina Jolie with her leg. She's giving Ashley Graham with the hands on the waist and the model-esque look. I mean, she killed this.
Oh, shout out to Ashley Graham. Yes.
I'm curious to know if any one of these women, or if they all had the same stylist, or if they hired individual stylists, because we always know that there's a theme. So like the Real Housewives of Miami reunion this year was James Bond. So I'm curious to know what this reunion was. It's a lot of blues, a lot of purples, and it's a lot of yellows. Next up on the list, Jen Fessler.
This one has to be the more relaxed look. I mean, what Danielle did, what I loved is I love the construction of Danielle's look. And then again, the leg popping out was just absolutely wonderful. And yeah, she's just a beautiful woman, and it definitely showcased there. Yeah, this one, it feels a little heavier than it needs to on her new Ozempic body, because she said she has the new Ozempic body. No, she said it. I believe she said it. Yeah. So and it might be that thing, your mind, I mean, as somebody who's fluctuated so much with weight, sometimes maybe your mind isn't caught up to where you're at, because she could have done something. I mean, it's a fine look, but she could have done something that accentuated this more slender version. I mean, and by the way, there was no need to lose any weight, but she has, and we see it. And she said she had some plastic surgery or whatnot. So she's dipping into that. I wish she would have turned up the look to match. Does that make sense?
Yes. Here's the thing about this look, and the reason why I laugh is it's giving Jen Fessler. This look is giving Jen Fessler. And this look for me is Marisol, Real Housewives of Miami reunion look. What that did for you. This is giving me very much.
You didn't like that look though, and I loved Marisol.
But here's the thing. I'm not knocking it. I'm saying, like, for what that did for you is what this look is doing for me. And this look for me is very much giving, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. This is like my first homecoming / winter formal. And I'm just like really excited to put on a cute dress. And it works. She looks very youthful. I know some people would absolutely hate this look because they would say it looks cheap for a housewife spectacular. But I love the simplicity of this is probably, what is it? Sheer, not sheer, but this is probably somewhat of like a silk context, but like this is giving very much like high school prom. Like, it's just giving Jen Fessler,
well,
and the way all the right ways.
The way it's cut is nice, and also, yeah, it's her Belle from Beauty and the Beast fantasy without it being so elaborate. Like, it's a version of it. Yeah,
it's just working on her. Yeah. Like, if there's things that I could deconstruct about this dress that I felt like would work better on her, just given the material and everything that it has here, the only thing I really would have changed is I would have taken this this off the hip slant cut, and I would have made it lower so that the ruffles would have been more skewed to the right, and the more pressed material, like the pressed portion of the dress and it falling very still, would have been on the left. So instead of having an exposed leg, it would have had exposed ruffles, which really would have added a lot to this dress. But and
that's all nitpicking. That's like nitpicking, really detailed. I mean, I'm thinking of it too, like because it's such a traditional look, like, could she have done something a little bit more with the hair? You know what I mean? And showcased a little bit more up top
I
and
love
with the
the hair
jewelry.
down.
Oh, okay, good. So that's yeah,
Yeah.
she's Belle, Beauty and the Beast for sure. Yeah.
I just I j here's the thing is people are probably not gonna like this look just because we know how society is, but it just works on her. If Melissa would've worn this, I'd have been like, "Come on, girl, like, what you doing?" But it works on Jen Fessler because Jen Fessler kind of she knows where she's at. She knows how she wants to portray herself in Housewives. She knows that she wants to be fun, and she knows that she wants to be the one that doesn't argue with anybody and just has a good time, and you're right, it is giving much very Beauty and the Beast Belle, and I like it. Anyways, moving on to the next yellow, Rachel Fuda, your girl. I'm gonna let you express these thoughts first.
Only because we're being like super critical, but then again, look the way I dress. I don't dress for shit either. And not saying she didn't dress for shit. I'm just saying I love her so much. She performs so wonderful in the season. It's great, and I love the hair. So like I said, I love to always see up top and the clavicle and everything of that nature. But there is something that is not the greatest with the way this is cut. But I mean, I'm still rating it quite high. But this would be of what we've seen so far. I'd love to see another option. That's all.
I I'm saying this
Well, and
was
also, can I add
giving
one more thing? We need to see more because it's always hard to tell with just a photo, one photo. We've seen a
Mhm.
lot of people who are like, "Oh, wow, that looks horrible," and in real life or when we see on the show, it looks way different, and vice versa of that as well. So this actually might be wonderful, but yeah, I would have liked to see something else. Maybe I don't even
I
know if
would
the
have
yeah.
I would have liked to see Rachel standing here. I would have liked both of them to have the same background because I here's the thing, I love Rachel's look, but the background is too busy and it takes away from the dress itself. It's giving Bridgerton meets, meets the local dive bar, which there's nothing wrong with, but it didn't allow this backdrop that she's standing against didn't allow to accentuate, show off the dress, even though she looks great, but she gets lost within the chaos of the back of the bottles and the stained glass and the designs of the woodwork and craftsmanship on the bar. So there's that. But besides that, like when you actually see this dress, you're going to be floored about how gorgeous it is because it looks great on her and it actually really accentuates her body. I wish she would have had a straight on look because it really would have done her justice, but I mean, this look is great. And last but not least, can I get a drum roll, please, for our
Mm-mm.
two
Oh, last two.
standouts?
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh, but is that a that's not a drum roll. That's not a drum roll either.
actually, let's
It's been a long
actually
it's been a
get
long day.
it is, but let's go ahead and get a round of applause for this. Come on, people, clap it up.
Hmm.
Start with Teresa, and I mean,
No,
there's
it's a great look. I'm not knocking it. It's a wonderful look. And also, she has the forehead that kind of gives forehead quite a bit. So the hair's done in a way that looks really proportional and everything. I mean, it's great. Teresa, not the most interesting on the TV show. Sometimes I wonder if she could add 10 plus 10, but like in terms of looks, she is really beautiful here, and I'm happy for her that this is during her love bubble, and I hope that this dress made her feel wonderful. We're hearing from all the rumors that things got really hot at that reunion, but at least she
yes.
looked hot. So there you go.
I will say this is Teresa's best look throughout her 13 years on The Real Housewives of New Jersey. I feel like wow. She went from wearing a corset top with a mini skirt to this gorgeous gown that is 100% sheer, see-through. Like, I am beside myself. I'm like, wow, I'm just floored. The detail in this dress probably took hours, if not hundreds of hours to make because it is so detailed with all the embellishments on the lower half, actually through the whole entire thing. I will say our next look is our queen, Melissa Gorga.
Hmm.
I will say I love this look, and I feel like this look was calculated because it has a hood, and when she wears the hood, she looks like a blue version of Little Red Riding Hood or Robin Hood. So I feel like there's something to be said about this dress. I haven't quite been able to pinpoint it yet because she took the photo like this. It falls great, and Melissa looks great in this dress. I love the plunging V because Melissa's worn that a couple times, and it looks great on her. But when she had the hood up, I feel like there's something deeper behind it, and there's something coming for next season, which no one wants to speak about. But I feel like this was a very calculated move.
Yeah, and I feel like I mean, again, whatever happens to any of the cast, like, Bravo makes their decisions, and a show does not define you. I just have been saying all season, and we'll see what next week looks like, this big gotcha moment. But I feel like, she's not really necessarily going anywhere. It would be kind of weird that the two, big conversation pieces, Teresa versus Melissa, it seems like you can say, well, an ultimatum will be made by Teresa, and so Melissa will get the shaft because she's the lesser. You could say that, but like, I don't think a network is really going to get rid of the person who's been brought up every single episode and in many ways. But again, if she goes, she goes. I don't want her to lose the check. I think she's wonderful. I think she's beautiful. I think I kind of agree with what you're saying, that this dress does have not a hidden meaning, hidden me. God, I can't get the words out. Huh?
A significance. Oh, that's me. Hi.
Yeah. I'm not saying this has a hidden meaning, but I think that she chose to make it something that was very regal. This is a design by Walter Mendez, I believe it is. And I was looking at a lot of his stuff. And I mean, I get that a lot of people were like, oh, it's a different story when you can see the hood. I totally get that. But I don't think that's great because we all love let's see the photo again. We all love that type of moment regardless, notoriously, Grace Jones with the hood, like it really does work, and it's a fashion moment. But I really think this is actually okay too, because again, she's always dressed in a way that it's like, tons of body. And this is a little more covered up. And I feel like you said, it is a little calculated. There's even some places that feel a little heavier than they need to be. And I would like it to be a little bit more confined to the body, but that also might be the hood that's coming out through the back. So I think also the color is really good. And when I was watching on Instagram, Walter Mendez's collection, I was seeing video of this dress, not with Melissa. And I was like, oh, this is going to look, in my opinion, maybe it's a bias because I do like Melissa and I like Walter Mendez's work. It shows even bigger and brighter on a runway, or quote unquote in real life video, I guess you would say in this case. So this might just be a look that we're seeing in photo, but I think it might really come alive, and it is different from her, from what she usually does. So I like it.
I think it looks great. And with that being said, we are one episode closer to the Real Housewives of Reunion. I think we have 2 more episodes before we get the reunion.
Well, I think it might be the one more too. Yeah. So I mean,
yeah. So I think it's
either way. We're gonna be here. We're gonna be here. So
excited about this. Anyways, y'all, if you want to keep up with a little R&R, once again, you can head over to my Instagram at RussellXRaymond. I'm actually all over the internet that way. You can head over to randomlyronniejr.com. Please go check out Randomly Ronnie Jr.'s shorts. We will have some shorts up together pretty soon at my YouTube channel. Let us know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe, share, send it to people. Have a laugh because we're funny. Ronnie, again, it's a pleasure. It always is a pleasure to have you.
It's made watching this show feel fun, versus when you watch it, you see some of the online commentary. I felt like we've been, even the ones we don't love as much, like I don't love Jennifer Aiden, but I feel like we've consistently been, pretty fair with everything. Like I said, I love my Melissa. You love your Dolores, but it's been a great experience doing this. And I'm actually very proud of us because I didn't know that we would be able to do it with our schedules being so busy. I was a little like, wow, we just finished Miami. Can we continue? And now I'm like, hello, Russell, what else are we going to do?
Yo,
because I'm not
we've
stopping.
been traveling so much too.
We're not
We've just been
stopping.
getting it done.
Yeah. So I know next Wednesday I think I'm going to be in DC at that time. So, but we're going to find a way because these Jersey girls are really exciting and Housewives is
Yes.
changing and growing. And I feel like there's I always say this, and I not always this kind, but I'll say there's 10,000 people that are recapping these shows. And for whatever reason, if you landed on this one, I just say thank you, because a lot of the other ones are wonderful, but people do similar things. And I feel like we have something that is different. It is a little special. Even the marketing of a little R&R for Russell and Randomly Ronnie. It's like we're always in that branding and marketing stage. So I would like to think that you enjoy coming on this journey with us. So thank you.
And with that being said, y'all, catch us here next week on the Real Housewives of New Jersey recap season 13, but that will be episode 15. Until then, keep it cool.